Welcome back to unpaidmoviecritics.com. I am Mike Semetz, aka Mike the Fanboy.com. And I'm joined by the woman who's trying to make fixal a verb. The woman who says, I'm a member of the Detroit Film Critics Society. I demand to fly first class and nothing less. Give me those small bottles of vodka to get me through my day. Miss Becky Fixel.
Now, Mr.
Weeknightatlanta.com.
Yes, Mr. Semetz. So what have you done in LA this week? Anything?
What have you done for me lately?
Well, I mean, everything here is kind of shut down because we don't have screenings because COVID is surging again. They say it's going down, and here's hoping by spring or summer we might have some semblance of normalcy, but there's still movies releasing. So is there anything happening there?
No.
Nothing.
We do have some, like tonight, Guillermo Del Toro.
Again?
I think I've mentioned. I'm going to talk him again. And again, I'll probably tomorrow and the other day. He's out everywhere promoting this thing. So hopefully I get all my stuff signed because I only have like 37 things.
Wait, he's still promoting Nightmare Alley.
Yeah, they did a black and white version.
But we talked about this last week and you were going to see that or do that last week.
Yeah, and he totally ghosted. He totally skipped and ran inside. And I was like, not really skipped because, you can't. But I don't know where they pulled him in or where they pulled him out. The only good thing was that he did hand out signed posters. So I did get a signed poster, but
that's cool. And took the effort out of it for you having to track him down to sign it later.
Like I want a Nightmare Alley signed poster, but
you're gonna flip it. Let's be real. Use it to fund the movie.
I did get some of the limited edition lithos and I've been selling those.
So there you go.
But it's something. So tonight, so I'm gonna go out for Guillermo Del Toro tonight, and then there's a flea market on Sunday. Oh my gosh, it's like super exciting times here in LA. Flea markets and movies, kids.
But I mean, honestly, even this week, because everything's starting to get delayed again, because obviously studios are a little worried because yes, they don't want their viewers to get sick. Obviously,
they don't care about the viewers. Let me just put this: they don't care about the viewers. What they care about is liability. They don't want someone to
care about liability. They care about
the actors,
the amount of theater time, so they can qualify for awards later. So I'm putting a little Pollyanna on it, but
I call it like it is. They don't really give a shit about anything.
Yeah, but the reality is they're pushing things out again, so everything's kind of fluid again. So even like the links all week, I don't think I've had any screener links.
Really?
I had 3 come in today for the next 2 weeks.
Wow.
So it's just like I caught up on everything. I've been working on some other stuff, but I was like, yesterday I took a day, I did some housework, I finished reading a book, and I was like,
wow,
what's going on? It's slowing down.
What is happening, Jenny? I mean,
January generally is slower anyhow for releases.
Well, because they save the crap for January and February.
Yeah,
because no one goes to the movies, and that's even for TV and anything. Like this is like a dead month.
It is. But then with COVID surging again,
Yeah, I went to go see Scream, the new Scream 2022 on Monday, and there was maybe 6 other people in the theater.
So really?
So I got my own little pocket with my friend, and we got to go. And what the nice thing was, the theater we went to, if you bought one seat, the seat next to you was automatically X'd out. Nice. So I bought our ticket separate.
So you had a nice
4.
Perfect.
And I thought that was really good. And then honestly, we didn't need to because we moved anyway, and then to the whole spot that there was no one in. Mainly to stay awake during the movie, but also
it wasn't that bad.
It was that bad. It was so terrible.
So you think it should have been released in January then? You think it's
it was perfect release time. I don't understand how it's making money. I don't understand how anyone liked it. I don't understand how it has that good of a Rotten Tomatoes score, which really isn't that good, but still.
So I think it could be because there's nothing really else in theaters that's drawing people in. Like this has a nostalgia that'll draw them in.
There was no nostalgia. This movie was so terrible. It was as if they took the movies coming before it, put them on the floor, and took a big old poop in each of their mouths and
I
said,
don't
ha
think
ha
it's
ha.
that bad, Mike.
It's that bad.
It's
It's
not.
so stupid. The beginning was boring. I was like, the beginning kill is always kind of fun. Like in the first movie, you had Drew Barrymore, which was the biggest shock and awesome, and they gutted her, and it was great, and it was funny because the beginning was, "What's your favorite scary movie?" It was so intense, and then the second movie with Jada Pinkett and Omar Epps, so fun. You know what I mean? Like he gets stabbed in the stall, and he comes back, and it was great. And she dies in front of the theater. It
Yeah.
was really fun. And then the third movie, they killed Cotton Weary in the beginning. So that was a big deal in terms of he was a character in all three, basically all three movies.
Right.
He gets killed. And then four was kind of lame because I didn't like four anyway, but whatever. They did try. This one
Right.
was like, "Hi, I'm a girl. What? She gets stabbed 7 times, whatever." And then she lives, first
Well,
off.
she doesn't have any really major, like she's hurt, but they
Yeah, I was like,
if you're gonna
okay.
so if you're gonna be a
And it was boring. That's the problem.
well, yeah, but
The
even if you're
movie
gonna be a
was
knife
boring.
wielding murderer, if you're gonna stab somebody 7 times, you should at least hit one vital organ.
Right. It's 7 times. Get your shit together, killer. Like, it was just dumb. I was really offended. I was like,
So
this is stupid. And
the
then they did
original
the scream
cast.
thing. Well, okay, so they did the scream, and I remember going, "Oh my god, I'm concerned." After this, I was concerned because I was like, "Is this movie going to be this bad?" Because the opening scene was boring,
Okay.
and I think that's the worst thing you can do in a movie. A movie can be terrible. All right, fine, but is it boring? It was so boring. My friend turned to me and was making conversation. And I go, "Annette, please stop talking." But and she knew it was driving me crazy because I hate people,
Yeah.
but she was that bored and I understood. Like I was like, wow, I get why you're talking to me, but this is terrible. And you're in a horror movie. I would like to point out I'm a horror aficionado.
You're a horror
I love my
writer.
horror. I'm a
Yeah.
horror writer. And I when I go to a horror movie, I like to jump. Like I'm not one of these people who wants to figure it out and thinks they're above it all. And I'm like, yeah, give me the nun with the jump scare in the mirror behind me, and I'll jump and my popcorn flies. That's me. I like getting into it, just going with it, not and being a big old
You
baby.
can do that in this one.
My friends laugh at me because I'm always the one like that's just like But this one, it was not. It wasn't. There was nothing exciting. There was nothing new. There was nothing fresh. It was like a stale tomato rotting on the vine.
And they did like the jump scares, like with Wes in the kitchen and opening the doors and stuff. And they made the music like something was going to be there. And they just, to me, they overdid that.
They
That
overdid it to a point where you're like, you did this 4 times. Okay.
right.
All of this. And then it was like, okay, now he's definitely there. Sure enough, there he is. And I'm like, everything was just wrong. They did everything wrong. There was
So
nothing right.
now are you being unreasonably harsh on it because you're a horror fan and writer? Or is it the nostalgia? It didn't live up to what you wanted it to be.
Scream 1, 2, and 3 are 3 of my favorite movies. And
So yeah, so it's a second.
I know Scream 3 gets blamed a lot, but I think it's
Scream
really
4 is horrible, but
Scream 4 is horrible. That's why I don't include that in the original.
right.
1, 2, and 3 are so good. And Scream 3, I think, is really so well done. And people were they were unkind to it and still are.
Mm-hmm.
If you rewatch it, I think in a different lens, especially looking at this shit that they're putting the fuck out, they will. There's so much good in this movie. Parker Posey, I mean, as you know,
You're obsessed with her, but anyway.
but Courtney Cox and David Arquette and Nev Campbell, they do such a great job. But the supporting cast, even you have the one girl who's playing the new Sydney was fun, and Jenny McCarthy does a great job in her little limited role. And they were all a little bit of characters.
Right.
Every new person was generic to a point where I was like, who are they again, and why are we here?
But
It was so awful.
So
I
this whole
don't.
episode is Mike hates the new Scream.
Yeah,
So,
will be.
okay.
But okay, no. But look, if you have characters and that are not characters, that are just people there to expose or rattle off exposition of stupidity, no one cares when they die. You have to give them something. I mean, my God.
What did you, okay.
Yeah.
What did you think about the original cast, them being brought back?
They were underused.
Okay.
I don't think the writers wrote for them. Like they don't know how to write for Sydney. The biggest miss, and I don't want to spoil anything, the annoying parts, like David Arquette, they just made him gross. And Dewey as a character wasn't, I don't know, an alcoholic living in a trailer. It made no damn sense. He was a police chief. I mean,
Yeah.
he was, in 3, he was, a celebrity bodyguard. He wasn't a bad dude. And this one,
He
they
was
just
just a little simple.
he was a simple guy, but not an idiot. He was just kind of like, what? He's kind of funny. And that was the whole point. And then in this one, it was like, okay, so he and Courtney Cox were together in New York. She had her own show. And then he just left in the middle of the night
And just left her. But then he's
for
pining
no
over it.
reason.
Yeah.
Because he wanted to go live in his trailer home and be an alcoholic and watch her on TV. Because he didn't like New York. I was very confused by that, and it made no damn sense. It made no damn sense. So then Courtney Cox comes back, and she is not Gail Weathers. Gail Weathers is a bitch. Gail Weathers is the ultimate bitch.
So you don't think she could have softened over time?
Yeah, she would have softened, but not to a point where she
Not to be
had
Monica?
no character.
Yeah.
Like she had no character. She comes in and there's a story and she said, oh, we're not going to do this story. What the fuck? Who are you? This is not Gail Weathers. Gail Weathers would have, are you a reporter? You had a crew with you and all of a sudden your crew is gone. Okay, why?
Right.
Like all of it made no damn sense.
So what would have made it better other than, like, what do you think they could have done to make this better?
Take the script, burn it, throw it into a toxic vat of waste, and then start again.
Okay. So have you seen anything?
Here's another stupid thing. The guy, so Ghostface kills this rando.
Yep.
This random bad guy who's an asshole, idiot, moron.
Which doesn't follow the pattern.
Doesn't follow any pattern, makes no damn fucking sense, and then they don't even talk about it.
Right.
There's no like who done it kind of mystery. It's like it's a retread where we have and I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, the fact that they explained the requel thing, like the whole thing in the movie, I'm like, that's a little too self-aware.
It was so like they did it in 3 a lot, and they did
Right. But
they
no,
do
it being self-referential a little bit is one thing. But that one just explaining, oh no, it's not a reboot, it's not a sequel, but it's
a
this.
requel with the original cast, and it's sort of this, and I'm like, all right, fine, I get it. But you literally had to beat people over the fucking head with it. And then you make characters, if you're gonna make characters live, give them a character. You had a guy who actually, I thought the one guy, Cuba Gooding Jr.'s son.
Yes.
Also in Love, Simon, the TV show Love, Victor. He's not bad. He wasn't bad. I was like, all right, he played literally the same character as Love, Victor. But cool. You don't have a personality. You're just a jock. Fine, whatever.
Yeah.
He gets stabbed, what, another 7 times? Oh, he's fine. His sister, she gets stabbed through the neck. Something else. Oh, she's fine too. No, you're not fine.
I was shocked how many people actually lived, because I mean, in the original, the point is the core group of friends. It's like the lone survivor out of that group. So, and this one, really, what, 2 died?
Yeah,
it
was and it was interesting. The kills were boring. The The kid in the shower was boring. The mom dying was irrelevant. I was shocked at how bored I was through this entire movie.
Now, were you, like I said before, like I said last week, one of the killers was obvious from the beginning.
From the fucking beginning. Oh my God. I'm like, I turned to Annette, I was like, he's dead. He's the killer. It's so obvious. And the other killer, and there's no spoiler in terms of there's always two killers. But the other one was so stupid because she barely got any screen time.
Right.
You barely remember her existing. And then she's like, huh. And she has the body weight of a titmouse. So you're telling me
she can throw full adults around.
A grown man
Mm-hmm.
is going to be like and struggling with the knife when this I could have farted and blown the chick over. Farted. Just
so
I mean, literally with one hand, I would have been like, hey, holding the knife up. Like, hey, having a full-on conversation and not even stressing. I could have taken her wrist and went and broke it.
Right.
And you're telling me
that this 80-pound child
killing people who has gone through this situation 5 fucking times for now? No.
Okay.
And I'm not talking about there's a death that I want to talk about really badly, and I can't. Because I don't want to spoil that for people if that's a fucking spoiler at this point. Who knows? But I'm like, that death was so terrible and so stupid and so projected from frame one. When it happened, I was angry.
So, okay.
So as you can tell, I had some strong feelings.
You have some strong feelings. I'm noticing this. I didn't hate the movie as much as you did. However, I will say, and I said last week, I'm not a huge fan of the series. Yes, keep drinking. Now, are you glad at least that you didn't pay for the tickets?
Yeah, that made me. No, okay. No, I'm not. I.
Would you be more mad that you paid for that?
Yeah. But okay. At the same time, I just wanted it to be good. I went into the theater expecting it to be good. I was like, oh, I'm really excited. I've seen every other Scream movie in the theater. That's the only reason I went to the theater.
Right.
And I was like, I would have much rather seen Kingsman, the new one. And
which
I hear is good.
I really enjoyed it. There are people just who hate it.
Yeah.
But it stands
stylized.
We're 100 years before the first one. It can't be the same.
Right.
And if you got to go in with that mindset and you go in understanding what they're trying to do.
Right.
That one is being released on Hulu on the 18th.
I saw that. Which I was actually
kind of excited about.
Yeah, I was actually kind of like, ooh, that's interesting. Well, and it's also interesting that Disney is kind of shuffling all of their Fox releases to Hulu because they don't want to put anything that was remotely has any kind of non-family friendly vibe, which is really ironic because Star Wars is shooting people and slicing them up, and that's okay.
Eternals has a sex scene and killing people, and
I saw Eternals. That was another movie I saw that finally.
And
another piece of shit.
So
the worst Marvel movie ever done.
That I will agree with, but it is so different. Like Jason watched it this week and he hadn't seen it yet. And he said, it's not horrible, but it's slow. So he's like, I could put it at 1.25 speed and still be fine.
Yes. Yes.
Now, the only issue I have, that movie is 2 hours and 40 some minutes,
Felt it.
Okay. Which seems to be the trend of these movies coming out after COVID. Have you seen the release time for the new Batman movie?
Yeah, I heard it's going to be the longest superhero movie ever.
Fuck my life. I don't like him. And I
like Robert Pattinson. I will say.
Don't.
I think he's. Here's the thing. Okay, so we'll go back to Eternals in 2 seconds. Just as a slight defense of Robert Pattinson, I think he could have gone I think as in his career wise, he could have gone the Studley route, and like, and he's really went the indie film route, and I really think I appreciated that.
After
I
Harry
thought he
Potter
was
and Twilight.
after Twilight, the crap fest that was, which I can't, can you blame him, for dealing with Kristen Stewart? I don't know.
I mean, I watched the first one and afterwards, because everybody was, ooh, it's so great, whatever. I watched it one time and I was like, well, that's 2 hours. I will never get back with my life.
My favorite scene is, hi, Bella, I really like you. I'm like, well, you're going to eat her face.
Right.
And she's like, what? Oh my God, I'm Bella.
I mean, I've never read those books and I don't mind young adult, fiction.
I don't either. If it's good.
I just read one yesterday or finished one yesterday. That's fantastic. But, those movies are just, I don't know. It's
god awful from beginning to end, all of them.
Oh my God. And there's people, but then again, there's a certain audience for it. And it's kind of like the same audience that goes after the Hallmark holiday movies. They can sit and watch them constantly. And I'm just like, can't do it. So it's just not my thing. There are stupid movies I'll watch over and over again, but that's just not it.
No. Well, I'll tell you. So I do respect him for doing that. I thought he was pretty good in I really enjoyed what is it, Water for Elephants with him and Reese Witherspoon.
Yeah, I didn't see that one either.
I think it's actually a pretty decent film, if I remember. I haven't seen it in a long, long time.
I think the reason I didn't watch it was him, because I do not like him. So if I see him on there and he's like the main cast or whatever, I'm just like, nah, we're good. So
I get it. I totally get it. But I thought that movie, I thought he was pretty good in it, and I enjoyed the film in general. And he did the other movie, Remember Me, which I didn't like the movie, but I thought it was he was pretty decent considering. But I liked the route. I liked the indie film route. I liked the fact that he made some interesting choices when he could have done some, himbo-y kind of film. And putting Daniel Radcliffe in that too. Daniel Radcliffe has done these random crazy movies, Horns, and there's other movies.
He's doing the Weird Al one.
I love where he's going. I love Daniel Radcliffe.
I do too. Awesome. That one I'm fine with,
Super sweet little guy. And I love what he's kind of doing with his career. I think it's super smart, and whoever is guiding him, if anyone is, or if he's just doing it because that's what he likes, dude, you're doing the right thing.
Well, let's be honest though, he has made enough money off the Harry Potter films. He doesn't need to. So I'm sure if he doesn't have somebody guiding him, he's just like, oh, this sounds fun. And he goes and does it. So good for him.
100%. Yeah, but so I did see two movies. I saw Eternals, I saw Spencer, and I saw Free Guy this week.
Okay. You haven't seen Free Guy yet?
No, I know, right? I enjoyed it. It was cute.
It's cute. It's fun. It's mindless.
Eternals, going back to that.
Yes, sir.
Piece of shit film. Whoever directed it thought they were doing a Zoe Chow, which I think she did Nomadland. Is that right?
I believe so, yes. I could be wrong. But
I think she thought that she was directing some art house film. Richard Madden, who is adorably cute, but really doesn't have a lot of personality. And you have the other girl who played Cersei, who has zero personality. And that was their main crux. And you're like, okay, you have nothing to do and you're really, really boring. And I didn't really buy their love story at all. I thought
they weren't well matched.
They weren't well matched. It was really weird. And then Angelina, I thought, tried really hard to give her character a lot of depth. And she's an eminently watchable. So she's
gorgeous. Even in that movie, everything, she's gorgeous.
When she was doing the thing with the sword, I was like, I love her in action movies.
Right.
Angelina, get buff again. This is my whole thing. I love you, Angie. Get buff again. Do Salt 2. Thank you very much. Salt is such an amazing film, and it needs a sequel. And I like it when she has meat. Like when she has some definition. Like when she was in Tomb Raider, that was the best Angie of all the Angies.
Right.
And here I thought she was good. I like the fact they gave her character a little bit of with the mental kind of breaking down. I thought that was interesting. I would have liked to seen her more pre that, like as a good warrior. I don't think they really had time to establish that, but I enjoy. She was great.
How did they not have time to establish that? The movie was almost 3 hours.
Because they were
They could
worried
have
that
cut
they
the
didn't have
sex
enough
scene.
time
They
with.
could have cut, and yes, I will give them credit. We do have, the first gay couple, the first gay kiss. We have the first death of event. Well, not Avenger, but hero or whatever. I mean, we have
Well, no, that wasn't the first one. I mean,
first,
it's like Endgame. I mean, a lot of people died.
okay. So we have the first major representation. So that is good.
I liked the fact that they were a gay couple.
Uh-huh.
I liked the fact that it wasn't a big deal.
Yes. That
I enjoyed all of that. I do feel like there could have been a little more, but whatever. I was like, hey, it's there, cool.
I mean, they're trying, but then we didn't need a sex scene. There's never been a sex scene in all of the 20 plus other Marvel movies.
Yeah, that's really is interesting because, the film, and again, on Disney Plus, right?
Yeah.
So you have that on Disney Plus, but you can't put Love Victor on Disney Plus, or you can't.
Which is stupid because
all these other
it's
shows
a great
on Disney
show, and Love Simon's such a good movie.
Such a good movie. But you can't put that on Disney Plus.
No.
Because heaven forbid.
But then on Disney Plus, they did the overcorrection with Hawkeye being Super Family Guy right after Eternals came out.
That's our next on our list.
Okay. Well, it's good, but it's not. It's hard because it's not like if you didn't like Winter Soldier and Falcon or Falcon and Winter Soldier, whatever it was, you're probably not going to like it. It's a fluff kind of sitcom-y show. And I
like Renner. I actually enjoy Jeremy Renner.
Yeah, I do too. And
Sebastian Stan has the personality of paste, unless he's naked, aka the Bronze. And Anthony
Mackie, Pam and Tommy coming out next week.
Yeah, I'm good with those.
Which I love that series, which is, the full review comes out next Friday. No, this Friday.
What? And where does it come out, Becky?
What?
Where does that review come out, Becky?
On week99er.com.
Yeah, but I thought the Eternals in general was, it deserved probably a worse rating on Rotten Tomatoes than it got. Yeah.
It's visually interesting, and I liked the fact that the historical parts, the different times in history they were showing, and that stuff you can't see. I liked that, but compared to other Marvel movies,
yeah, it was the worst Marvel movie made to date. It introduced characters the longest, and introduced characters no one cared about, and that's part of the problem. You in the writing, you have to have characters and not just people standing there. And that's part of the issue. I thought the guy who played the other half of the gay couple was really good.
Yes.
And I thought Angie was always watchable. I don't think this was her best role. I think that, she's one of the best actresses out there. And I think she did good, but I don't think she really went there. I was like, okay.
But then it still brings the who isn't in a Marvel movie.
Right. And then there was that one kid who I could not even understand what he was saying.
Which one?
The one that had this super heavy accent and then showed up randomly again at the end, who could control people's minds.
I can't even remember his name. And that's part of the problem. And that is a big problem because most of them have names from mythology that we have had beaten into our heads for years.
Right. And Selma Hayek did fine with the little underwritten part that she had.
But she's also played that role before
100 times.
So
and the other kid, the girl who played kind of like the sexually ambiguous
Sprite
elfin character,
right? Yeah,
who they made a child for no reason, that was just kind of creepy, and I hated that character.
So the one thing when we watched it the other night, I was like, besides all this happening, and this is after the Great Snapping and all of that, anybody gonna wonder about what the giant head and hand sticking out of the ocean, or that whatever continent they're on that was just obliterated with the when it happened? what about all those people? That would be all over the news.
Oh yes, it was literally like, well, that would have really destroyed ecosystems all throughout the world. There'd be massive flooding everywhere, and
Tsunamis. Do you see any?
tsunamis and all kinds of random shit. And I'm just like, you know, what's the deal with Earth? Are we that special? I mean, it just feels like,
According to aliens and Doctor Who, of course we are, because they, a new one attacks every week. But yeah, it
I
was.
was over it. I was kind of over it, not to lie.
Let's talk about another Disney one. I don't know if you've seen it or not yet. Have you watched Encanto yet?
Yes.
Yes. Did you like it?
When I was over the holidays, my sister
You watched it with your mother?
my niece.
Oh, okay, perfect.
They were like, they like it and they just threw it on Disney Plus. And so I saw all the we don't talk about Bruno.
They get stuck in your head. Yeah.
I didn't hate it, and I hate animation. Animation's not my friend.
Okay.
But I thought the songs were fun. I thought the story was kind of stupid. Like, oh, we got a mystical flower. Was it flower or rock or something?
Candle.
And it was candle, whatever the mystical element of this one was. And it follows them, and then they could have powers to lift things and do things, but they're staying by themselves in the middle of the woods or something. I was like, oh, whatever. My niece liked it. It gave her.
You didn't pay that much attention.
I didn't pay that much attention, but I thought it was fine. It was very typical. I didn't think it was anything special. I do like the fact that they're trying to make more representation for all kinds of, people.
And Lin-Manuel Miranda
had some gay characters finally, like that was actually
right.
Really, I mean, it's just getting a little stupid at this point. Like, come on. But whatever. But I mean, it was fine.
It's good to see representation, and you may not need to see it at this point, but other people will.
Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, did you see Spencer with Kristen?
I have not yet. I have a copy of it. It came in my Neon book, but I have not watched it yet.
Okay. So Scott really wanted to watch it because he loves Kristen Stewart. I am not in the Kristen Stewart fan club. I think that she's really awkward, and I have a very hard time watching her. I don't dislike her by any means.
But she's not a name that you would gravitate towards.
No, I would probably not want to watch a movie because she's in it.
See, like me and Pattinson.
Right. Like, when I saw that she was in Charlie's Angels, I was like, is the whole movie her going, okay, let's go, guys. Like, that's what I feel like. And I feel, I saw a Q&A with her for a movie she did called On the Road.
Okay. Never heard of it.
It was a Jack Kerouac movie with Garrett Hedlund.
Okay.
And it was really good. It was, the movie wasn't really good, but I enjoyed it. It was fine. I kind of like those beat poets, and they're kind of fun. And Garrett Hedlund did a great job in the movie. And I forgot what she played, ironically. But the Q&A was so awful, because the whole movie, the whole time they asked her a question, she would just go, yeah. And I went to the store, and it was like she was convulsing, trying to get words out.
Does she have like bad social anxiety?
I don't know what it was.
Wow.
I literally grabbed my friend and I'm like, I can't watch her anymore. I can't watch her anymore. I mean, I still got a magazine signed because that's how I am. But it was really painful. And I think there's a clip on my YouTube page. I think I was able to record something.
Record and share how horrible it was.
It was just so awkward. And that's what every time I see her, she's awkward. And so now, which brings us to Spencer. I didn't know. Everyone keeps saying how good she was. So first off, the movie is hyper pretentious.
Okay, but it is about
Princess Diana. It's about Princess Diana, and it's like a weekend in her life as they went to spent Christmas with the royals. And it was as a year before her and Charles separated. And it was interesting. One, you can tell it's an indie film. The score, whoever did this score almost ruined the film.
Really?
It was so loud. One, it was so loud. It overpowered the dialogue.
Okay, even indie films, why can't they get the balance, like the
I
sound
don't know.
balance? There's some movies that I've screened that I can't hear the audio and I can't hear the conversation at all over the music. And I'm like,
Yep.
it can't be how they're releasing it.
No, this one was, because I thought it was just my copy. So I
Right.
texted my friend, Jack John JM, who writes for me. And I give him 3 names because he wrote for me under 3 different names. And so I always, so now I'm like, now it's like, hey, I go, hey, Jack John JM. It's really fun for me. So that's why he's called Jack John JM. And I'm like, did you, because I remember him mentioning Spencer, and I was like, did you see this? And he goes, I heard it. I heard the score, which was awful, and that's all we could hear. And I was like, okay, so it's not just me. So we literally had to go in and adjust our settings and
Yeah.
the sound bar off to get the dialogue. And it was really awkward to do all of that, first off. And then the soundtrack didn't fit. It wasn't English. It was like this weird, Scott was like, it's almost like they wanted The Shining, where it was like always very intense, very intense. And then like the movie wasn't, they're eating crab, or, they're having a pudding talk. It was just like, why are you trying to make the whole thing so tense? And I get that's probably what was in her mind. Like,
Right.
she's so tense and they're trying to make it like that. But this historical fiction shit really is kind of annoying, because I looked it up, right? And she went to this damn Christmas thing and only missed 1 year of going even after the separation, because she was spending Christmas with her kids.
Right.
I'm like, well, if it's that bad, I was like, all right. I don't know. They just made it such a deal, and they made it seem like she was crazy. So, and I don't know if
I'm gonna have to watch it because it's been on my list. Like, I have all the FYC DVDs out there that I'm like, there's some that I still want to watch, even though, our votes have been in for a while. But it's, I guess right now, seeing as there is a lull and things coming out, might be the good time to do it.
And it don't expect much, and then I'll help you.
I've heard from other people that it's really good.
It's good, but weird. So then it gets really artsy fartsy, and I don't know enough about Princess Diana to know if she was really good at playing Princess Diana. It felt, I was talking to my friend Angie, we were watching it together, and she was like, I still see Kristen Stewart. I don't see Princess Diana. I was kind of half and half. I saw some Kristen Stewart, I saw some Diana, and I wasn't sure if some of her Kristen Stewart-y tics were also Diana tics. So I really didn't know. Like, I was like, well, I don't know.
Who was playing Diana in The Crown?
Oh, I only saw season 1 of The Crown.
Okay.
But I don't remember.
Because whoever that was, I mean, she did pretty good. Elizabeth Debicki.
Oh yeah, I love Elizabeth Debicki. She's a great actress. She was really good in Great Gatsby.
Oh yeah, she did. I like that movie too.
Really good in Great Gatsby.
I'm just, I do really like historical fiction. Like,
really,
I do like the movies. And actually, the note that I took of our conversation from last week after we stopped recording, we'll go into a little historical fiction issue in a minute. But some of the stuff, like, I like The Crown, and I know it's all bastardized history. Right. I'm very curious where they're going to take it, though, because now they're getting a little too close to current day. And with the Queen currently, it's kind of, I don't know, it could be some legal issues getting close to,
Well, I remember Ryan Murphy, they had that issue with Feud, where Olivia de Havilland sued him because she was like, that's not anything what happened.
Right.
She lost.
Oh, because it was artistic license or something.
Artistic license. I think is bullshit. When I like something, it's the way I don't like about historical fiction. And I get there's always some elements of entertainment and whatever. Yeah. But there's some things like The Crown, which tries to be accurate. Yes. And then there's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood,
right?
Who just
went off the deep end. But I mean, if
Well,
you
I liked the
like,
movie. I liked the movie. I don't like that shit. I don't
I
want to
really
introduce.
do usually. But I also, I mean, I used to teach historical design and things like that. So some of the stuff I'm really drawn to, but like one of the movies, and I think my review went live yesterday for it. It comes out Friday, The King's Daughter with Pierce Brosnan.
Oh yeah, yeah. I heard about it.
So I went into it thinking, okay, it's going to be this, this historical fiction thing, and it's got a
Right.
princess, illegitimate children, there's pirates, there's mermaids. So you already have to
Who doesn't
suspend.
have pirates and mermaids and princesses?
Right, right. Suspend belief some. Okay. So this is the issue is when they tie it to actual people. It's tied to King Louis the 14th. So he's a human. There's an actual life and death and time frame for him. The movie is
Okay.
going through the buildings that they're going through were not there for another 100 years. The parts of Versailles, she's wearing modern day cuts of dresses, wrong fabrics. And this is where, I mean, the movie's totally fluff. I still enjoyed it, but in my
Right.
head, I'm screaming because I'm like, no,
Wait,
that was built for
where
Marie Antoinette.
where were you screaming?
I said, in my head.
In your head, in your head,
Yes.
zombie,
All right,
zombie,
cranberries aside.
zombie. Hey,
But
hey. Sorry.
but it's that type of thing and those type of details that can totally ruin it.
A hundred percent.
And I know, like, and I mentioned it to my friend Joyce, and
Yep.
she's like, well, that's because you know too much. Like, she's like, I'd
No.
probably watch it and I'd be fine because I don't know that that was built 100 years after this movie is supposed to take place. You can't tie it to a person and be that
Yeah.
far off base. Like
Right.
Seasons of Rain and the Tudors, they took artistic license.
Well,
Those are fluff.
Rain is it even a real story?
No, I mean, it's the real character, real people.
Yeah. Like Merlin on
No.
BBC.
Mary Queen of Scots, and
Right.
so they
Well,
had.
Michael Hurst, when he did, Michael Hurst in his historical fiction, he did the same thing with the Tudors and Vikings.
Mhm,
He does try. I mean,
right,
he tries to be as accurate as possible, but there's literally no way you would know what a conversation between Lagatha and Ragnar, what they would have, or if they were bisexual, or if
right.
they were,
But
in the
like
monk. I mean, like you know.
Rain,
So
they kept it to the sort of right styles and stuff, but then they had modern music, but it was taken back to that style. But you go in knowing that Tudors, King Henry VIII, Princess
his
Elizabeth,
story,
all that. Most people don't know that he had more than one sister, that they just squished into one character for, to make it easier for them. But you have to let that go. But when you screw up something that freaking bad and she's walking around in a modern mermaid cut, um, wedding style dress, no, you can't let that go. So, you know, it's some details you can't let go. Like you had issues with Scream and you couldn't let go of things, you know.
what I could let go
No, you couldn't. You ranted for 20 minutes.
more than 20 minutes, but it's all deserved.
Well, there is that. But
Listen, that's the thing. I do think it's interesting, and talk about, we always go in these random gamuts of conversation, but when you have, it all depending on the person. Some people loved Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and they're like, oh yeah, da 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 da, and I'm like, I can't get over Sharon Tate and no,
you
no,
can't you can't
I
put a
couldn't go,
fluff to that story. I'm sorry.
no. I just had a problem with it. I want to know the real story. If you really went to and told the real story, how, I think that'd be more than fascinating.
Yeah,
But as it was like, well, was Bruce Lee an asshole? I don't know now. I'm like,
right.
what was the real story? What was he really like on set? That to me is way more interesting than trying to stylize and fictionalize something.
Right.
Because truth is always more interesting than fiction in some level.
Yes, that is absolutely true. And speaking of truth being more interesting than fiction, we kind of loop back the whole Weird Al movie coming out.
I think it's fascinating.
Oh my God. I never thought I would want to see it though, but it's just like with Daniel Radcliffe. And
Does Weird Al need a movie? I
Yes,
guess he does.
apparently he does, because my sister loves him. I'm always like, yeah, whatever, it's Weird Al. But I will sit there, I will watch this movie. I have no problem. I will watch
I'll
that.
watch it. Well, I mean, the funny thing is, when you really think about it, Weird Al has transcended generations.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
because, back in the day, I mean, we Dare to Be Stupid and Eat It, and then he did Amish Paradise, a whole new generation.
Yep.
And then I mean, like, I listen to Canadian Idiot all the time. I want to be a Canadian idiot. I think it's hilarious.
Yeah, and he is funny. And my sister was obsessed, and him and Monty Python, she would
Yeah.
play repeatedly. So for me, okay, I get the humor, but at the same time, it's just like, at a point, enough.
Yeah.
So, but this, to me, to find out, if they do it accurately, and he's being very involved with it,
Right.
find out where this comes from, how he got to be who he is.
Well, the story might be interesting. I don't know. I don't know his whole story. I've met him 2 or 3 times at this
Okay.
point. I've always had him sign stuff from UHF because I loved that movie. I don't know if you saw that movie back in the day.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, it was his only movie he did, and it was about like this UHF TV station, and Michael Richards is in it.
Okay.
And it's stupid. It's such a dumb movie.
Of course it is. But
I
you
mean, like,
expect
you have
it
a
to be.
guy, yeah, you have a guy like throwing fish, and you know what I mean. Like, they're doing these random TV shows. It's very Weird Al. It's very fun. It's very cult. But I've always really enjoyed it. Every time I've gotten him, I've gotten him to sign UHF over albums or something like that. But I do have a couple. I do have, what albums do I have? I have in 3D, I think, on vinyl. That I
You
picked
guys
up.
even have a record player?
Oh no,
Oh no.
I have a lot of vinyl.
Oh bless.
I keep buying vinyl.
And you have no way to play it.
No, we don't play it.
Get it signed and put it in a drawer.
Yeah, that's how it is. I just, what do you do? One day we can go and tell, and we'll talk about some of our favorite shit. But yeah, so it's pretty easy. He's pretty accessible.
Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, it's been very nice. One time I totally geeked out on him. I'm like, dude, you don't understand. The first time I met him, I was like, when I was a kid, I used to listen to this all the time. And my mom used to this is when record stores were still around. You go to a record store and buy something.
Right.
It's
been a while.
Been a while. I mean, and I miss those days.
Although I will tell you, that is one thing when you even say record stores, it's something my dad has always been like huge into music. I can distinctly smell like walking into a record store. That is very, and there is a in the what the heck is that area called? There's an area in Detroit that has come back, and there's an old burlesque bar that's still there, which is fantastic. The music, everything is fantastic. You walk in, it smells like a record store.
Oh wow.
And it's a show bar, and I've been there a couple times, and I'm like, oh, that's fantastic.
That's
Somebody
cool.
over in the corner?
I was sense memorying.
Oh. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
No, I remember, and we used to go over to Royal Oak.
Okay.
And there was a couple of different places. We used to go to Royal Oak, and there was a record store there that had a lot of bootlegs and stuff, and it was really kind of cool. Like when people would actually go videotape concerts.
Yeah.
Videotape full concerts, and you watch
the
image, and you get this VHS tape wrapped in a piece of paper with a bootleg, photo they pulled somewhere, which I still have all of these, by the way. And you could buy them, and it was fun. Like a pro
shop. Digitizer and start putting them up.
Yeah, I really should. There was there was sometimes you would get them from the actual soundboard and from the actual video feed. Oh my god, those are so fun to watch. Like, because it's the actual what was shown on the monitors.
Right.
And they're great quality. I was like, shit. Whoever artist it was should have just take it and release it because it's so good. It was really, so there's a lot of fun stuff out there that was.
And that was what, in the 90s?
Well, since I'm 12, yeah, something like that.
Well, no, the only reason I'm asking is because, like I mentioned, that the Pam and Tommy thing, and that's all about, the distribution of the sex tape and
Yeah,
that black market that was around then before the internet exploded. So, it's interesting.
but
It's
don't worry,
also,
that got digitized. Don't worry, that
oh,
went
it
on.
did eventually.
Okay.
Yes.
I
But
thought it was fun. I used to make my own little videotapes, like of crazy shit that was on TV. And like,
okay,
I would
not
just, I called it my weird shit tape. And my
I
friends
was
would be like,
just
what's on the weird shit tape now? And I'm like, well, like,
I was just gonna make sure that you weren't talking about your own sex tape that was gonna get.
no, it was just, I don't know what it was. Like, I just keep it in the VCR. And yeah, I did have a VCR, at the time. I mean, I was a zygote, but still.
Yeah.
And like,
Uh-huh.
it was just weird shit. Like, you'd be watching, like, just on the background, People's Court or something. And there was one, I'll never forget it. It was a People's Court, and I taped it. And this woman was like doing a court case, and this woman was suing the other woman, and like she was crazy, and she was like, and the woman was coming up, and this woman bashed her own head into a tree. And like I was like, record. And it was this whole case, and they had these examples, and this woman started beating her head into a tree. And I'm like, what is happening
But
right
again,
now?
reality is more interesting than fiction sometimes.
And literally,
Like,
it
seriously.
was so fun. And I showed it to everybody. I'm like, I don't understand. It was hilarious, but it would be like weird stuff I just see on TV. I was like, I just record it. And my friends would always want to be like every other month. They'd be like, let's watch the weird shit tape, see what's new.
And
Like,
now you're working on making movies. Your new version
right.
of weird shit.
My new version of weird shit is making movies. But it's true. It's really an interesting thing sometimes what used to be out there. I used to love, I mean, just, I don't understand why a lot of places don't do this. Like the musical performances that were out there on like Tonight Show and Letterman and all these shows, they should just go digitize all of this, put it
Right.
on YouTube, because, and they do now, like currently, like,
Yeah, it's up like with an hour.
but I'm like, there were some great songs, even by like some random one-hit wonders. It's kind of fun to see them doing it live. I remember I think I used to tape stuff when I was in the midst of moving from Detroit to Kentucky to LA. And I had like a few months, and I would just record, if I found something cool. And I found the tape, and it was neat. It was like, wow, there's some fun little performances that aren't out there because people didn't really give a shit about the band or whatever it was. But
Right.
if they
And
just
now,
got an intern to go through and digitize each of these performances and be like retro performances, it's kind of cool.
right. But will
know,
people end up doing that?
no,
And the cost for you to do it would be ridiculous. Just
no, but like let's say someone goes archives back in the beginning of the Tonight Show, like before Johnny Carson even, you get
right.
some of these performances. This is really cool stuff. Time Life, you would think would have, would eat it up because
Yeah, I
they've done
think so.
some
Because
amazing.
I mean, there was a clip that was going around right after Betty White died of an interview that she did with Joan Crawford.
Oh yeah,
I mean, it was a decent interview, except the version that was uploaded was so crappy. And I was like, I know there's better copies out there, but it was so fuzzy and I was like,
right.
oh.
Well,
So
and today, we said goodbye to two
I saw that.
artists, Meatloaf and Louis Anderson.
Right.
Yeah, both fairly young. Meatloaf was only 75, and Louis Anderson was
60 something.
60
And
something.
I believe he was battling cancer though, wasn't he?
He was battling cancer. And Meatloaf, I don't know what happened.
And I had just seen something with him in it. Oh, it was the movies that made us, and he was talking about Coming to America, the first one. And I was sitting there, I'm like, we just watched something and he was in it not that long ago.
Yeah, and that was his last movie, was Coming to America too.
Yeah.
I mean, I was never like a giant, like, oh my God, I love Louis Anderson. But I mean,
but we all knew him.
We all knew him, and it was it's really sad because he was a good dude.
Right.
I heard nothing bad about him. You know what I mean? Like, And I wasn't a fan of Baskets, but I hear he was really good in it as Zach Galifianakis's mother.
Oh,
He won an Emmy for it.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, I heard it was a really funny show. Zach Galifianakis's humor sometimes isn't my thing.
No?
But I mean, Meatloaf was in Rocky Horror.
Yeah.
Meatloaf was in Rocky Horror. I mean,
Yep.
even the little sequence he did in Rocky Horror with that Papatuti was so fun.
Yes.
And he was so perfectly cast. And
he's got 42 credits to his name. Or I'm sorry, I'm still on Louis Anderson, which still 42 credits.
Oh, he did a lot. He did Family Feud, and he did Life with Louie, and he did
which I remember watching. So Meatloaf has 108 credits.
Well, and Meatloaf was also had a really, and people forget about it. He was so good in Fight Club.
He was.
That role was outstanding. And
I don't think at the time I knew that was him, though.
Yeah. No, I don't. That was why it was so good.
Right.
And he was so endearing. You just wanted to give him a big old hug. You're like, oh, dude, you're gonna get fucked up. Don't do it. Don't do it.
But he does it.
And he doesn't. But and Fight Club is one of the best movies. One of my favorite movies. David Fincher's films are usually some of my favorites. And Fight Club is I think arguably his best. I mean, Seven is also up there, obviously.
Right. They're good movies.
He's done so many good ones, but he actually, Fight Club is so well done. So well done. And
I want to say that was in theaters when I was working at movie theaters. 99, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is
I think I had just moved to LA in 99. I think I didn't see it in theaters. I think I saw a bootleg copy that my mother taped for me or something. And
which is an interesting one for your mother to tape for you.
She used to tape all these movies and mail them in giant boxes.
Oh, bless.
And I would bring them back at Christmas. I don't know what her deal was.
Well, it gave you something to do.
Yeah. But I remember the clips they used of Brad Pitt. It was like a frame of Brad Pitt they put behind. I think that was just genius. And
I mean, and it was like, it's one of those that even now, if you watch it, you're still going to pick up other details that you've missed.
Oh, yeah.
Over and over.
100%. That movie was so good. And he was so good. I mean, Rocky Horror too. We had a whole, episode dedicated to Rocky Horror. And while Meatloaf only had a tiny part in it, he was so good in it.
Right.
Like it was that song is so good. I love Hapatuti. It was one of it's still one of my favorite songs when you listen to that soundtrack. You're like, Hapatuti, bless my soul. I gotta love that rock and roll,
Yeah. And it's really weird because like me and my friend Chris were talking. It's like it seems there's at least one big death a day so far this year. It's been
it really has been
consistent.
A lot of people we've lost, and not necessarily old.
No.
I don't consider either one of those too old.
No.
Like, not now. Like until there's an 8, then you're like, well, but you should be an 8.5, and then you're like, well, okay,
No, and I know Meatloaf's family said that they're not going to release his cause of death.
Ooh.
Which I find interesting. Louis Anderson was fighting cancer, so I'm sure they will release something, but that seems like that would be the obvious cause.
Yeah.
But we haven't seen many say, no, we won't release what happened.
Yeah, and that's interesting. It could be, I mean, you never know. He could have not been vaccinated.
Right. And it could be.
Then you start speculating. You're like, who knows?
Well, and it could be if he wasn't and it was that, they don't want to have people use it as their, justification or, politicize it somehow, which I completely understand. They've lost a family member, but it's still, I don't know in recent years that I've seen we won't release.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting, especially someone as high profile as him.
Right, because Bob Saget, they said it could take several weeks. I
remember Dolores O'Riordan when she passed away. Everyone speculated she killed herself.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh my God, I really hope not, because the Cranberries, In Your Head. I mean, they're one of my favorite bands.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at their whole catalog, her voice live was unlike anything
Right.
anything else. I've been very fortunate to see them. I mean, talking maybe 10 times over the course of
Just a few.
I loved them. And I actually had tickets for their last tour and they had to cancel it.
Yeah.
That really made me sad. I was like, oh. But I was able to see them when they were here at this small little Microsoft venue. Not really small. I mean, it was, a decent size, but I had, a balcony ticket. It was really, she was so good. So good. And I actually was at her solo show without the Cranberries and you can Google this, her drummer had an epileptic fit.
Oh, wow.
And so she was in like maybe the fourth or fifth song, and she had already done Zombie and a couple other good ones. And her drummer had an epileptic fit and they had to cancel the show. And she was like, oh, my drummer. In her Limerick accent, I think my drum is sick. And then they had to come out, just close the whole deal, and they had to cancel the show, and it was really sad.
Sucks, but I mean, their health is more important than a show, unfortunately.
Right. And
fortunately,
I've met Dolores 2 or 3 times, and she was very nice. But she did, but hearing that it was an accident,
right?
Felt better. I mean, it wasn't. Still kind of like you got so drunk you drowned. It's kind of sad, but
right. I'm sure give it a few years, there's going to be some documentary about it. Like, I don't know if you watch those documentaries. There's one on, I want to say it's on Hulu. No, it might be HBO. That's about Brittany Murphy.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
It's really well done. Which, I mean, there's a lot of things that I guess I didn't know was happening at the time. I liked her in movies and, and that's about all I knew, but that one was a fascinating documentary. So if they peel back the onion, maybe you'll know more.
Right. And I mean, it really does get interesting. So, with Meatloaf, people then will start speculating.
Right.
And I think that's worse.
Right.
You say it, but at the same time, I guess family and their privacy.
It's family and they deserve privacy. No matter what happened, they're grieving. So if they decide to release it later, great. If they don't, well, not much we can do.
It really is sad. But I do recommend everybody out there, all 4 of you, in honor of Meatloaf and Louis Anderson, I think, and this is probably a perfect way to end, to check out Fight Club this weekend.
Yeah.
Or this week, and even Coming to America for Louis Anderson or Baskets, if you want to watch an episode of Baskets. I believe it's on Hulu, and he's out. He is really good in it. It just wasn't a show I watched all the time, but for both of them, and it's really sad.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's a sad note to end on.
But I know it is, but at the same time, when you leave a body of work like both of them did, they will live on. I mean, music has touched people everywhere, and even outside, Rocky Horror for me is that's my Rocky Horror stuff, but other people will Dashboard Light, Bat Out of Hell 2, he has done a lot, so
yes, he did.
None of that it will ever change, and it's kind of cool. So
yeah.
Well, thank you all for joining us. I'm here with Miss Becky Fixel from week99er.com.
And I will have some Mets on his nice depressing end note there.
I will have some more strong opinions. I mean, I know today I was kind of wishy-washy and some
absolutely. So Mr. Mike the Fanboy.com will be going to hopefully events to see Guillermo 5 more times before next week.
Maybe.
All right. Well, thank you for tuning in. We will be back next week, and make sure you send us an email if you want to join the conversation and tell us how wrong Mike is. So,
well, yeah, honestly, I love contrasting opinions. If you want to start making a case that Scream 2022 was a decent film, I mean, I'll tell you how dumb you are, but we'll also discuss how stupid you are, and then that's great.
Yeah, Mike has no strong opinions about anything.
When it comes to horror, I have strong opinions.
Oh, I will tell you about one that I'm watching next week. So
what is it?
I don't freaking know the name right now. It's one of the screeners that's supposed to be coming today.
All right.
I'm pulling up my editorial calendar. That's the only place I have it right now.
I'm pulling up my editorial calendar because I'm Becky Fixel. I'm so cool.
It's called The Long Night.
I'm gonna watch the movie called The Long Night, followed by The Short Night, followed by The Really Dark Night,
Followed by
followed
A
by
Knight's
the
Tale.
house followed by the house at the end of the street in The Dark Night.
Followed by The Knight's Tale, which I might actually watch this weekend because I love that movie. So that's it for this week, and we will talk to you guys next week. Bye.